This is the first episode in a new series where we're going to be talking about books, book reviews, book discussions. What should we call this new series?
Do 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 do. Josh's Order Corner.
That's me. I don't know what we're going to call this series yet. I don't know how long it's going to last, but we're going to talk about books. We're going to read some books. We're going to talk about them. If you follow my socials, you know what book I'm reading. So if it's something you've read before, you can come watch the video. Maybe we'll go live every now and then and we can discuss it. So to kick this new adventure off, we're going to talk about Gabrielle Lord's Fortress. This is based on the movie. Maybe you saw my recent video about it or you've heard me talk about it before. It was a movie from 1985. It was one of the first scary movies I ever remember seeing. And when I recently got the movie, I realized that it's based on this book. So we're going to talk about it. Kicking things off with just reading the synopsis on the back. May 8th, 1980, 9:15 a.m. A routine morning for Miss Sally Jones, teacher at remote Sunny Flat Small Bush School, explodes into terrifying violence. Armed masked gunmen appear at the windows and lock Sally and the children into a windowless van. Driven for hours through the darkening bush, Sally does her best to comfort her pupils. But words overheard from the kidnappers reveal the worst. They must escape or die. But can a young woman and a dozen youngsters fight such odds? Based on a true event in Australia, Gabrielle Lord, Australia's queen of crime, presents Fortress to a new generation. This book clocked in at 245 pages in paperback form. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it. And a little bit about the author, Gabrielle Lord. Uh, Gabrielle Lord is widely acknowledged as one of Australia's foremost writers. Her popular psychological thrillers are informed by a detailed knowledge of forensic procedures combined with an unrivaled gift for storytelling. Fortress, her first novel, was originally published in 1980 and translated into dozens of languages. Gabrielle is the author of 17 other successful novels, including Whipping Boy, Death Delights, Baby Did a Bad Thing, Lethal Factor, Skipping the Girl, Dirty Weekend, Shattered, Death by Beauty, and Dishonor. Sisters was published in 2019. Winner of 2 prestigious Ned Kelly Awards for crime writing and a joint winner of the Davitt Crime Fiction Prize, Gabrielle's 12-book series for young readers, Conspiracy 365, was awarded the Australian Book Industry Award and made into a 12-episode Foxtel family drama. She is currently working with a U.S. screenwriter and Australian director on a TV series based on her 5 Gemma Lincoln PI novels. She lives in Sydney, Australia. She wrote a great book here. Now you can tell it's been translated from the native language, I believe. I don't know what language that would be, but you can tell it's been translated because there are some grammatical mistakes in the English version, and that's okay. They weren't anything that really made you uh, hate the book by any stretch. And it starts off just introducing you to the main character, Sally, who is a teacher at this small school, and she's got some things going on in her personal life. She might be taking a little bit of that frustration out on the kids, or having a hard time really focusing on the task at hand of being that school teacher. She didn't necessarily want to be there to begin with, and now she is, and she has to do her job. It was based on, I'm going to cheat here, the Faraday School kidnapping. On October 6th, 1972, a one teacher school in a rural town of Faraday in Victoria, Australia, 2 dudes came in, they kidnapped 6 female pupils and the teacher for $1 million ransom. Victorian government claimed it would pay the ransom, but the victims escaped and got away from the criminals who were later captured. Now, it's funny because one of those criminals actually escaped from jail and tried to do it all again. He kidnapped another teacher in classroom and ended up like getting in a car wreck, kidnapping more people, and just loading it up, trying to get $7 million, a bunch of cocaine and heroin, and he clearly got caught and ended up in prison again. But with this story here, it was turned into the movie Fortress, which was an excellent film. I've talked about it plenty. I'm gonna grab the phone here. This is where I took some notes as we were going. Let's see. It was there were some graphic points, but for the most part, it's not very violent. It's a story of this woman trying to keep the kids calm and get them to freedom. The graphic parts were pretty graphic. I mean, they Gabrielle Lord does a great job with the details, not making it too crazy, but the conversation dropped away as one by one the children's hunger faded to be replaced with tiredness. They bumped along, cases rattling, reminding Sally of some nightmarish excursion. This is what happens to bad teachers in hell, she thought wryly. They have to lead excursions of tired children through the night to nowhere forever and ever. But the rocky outcrop proved to be the next hill, and her spirits lifted with it. They clambered up, feet slipping on the stony soil, pencils and rulers rattling hollowly, the big children dragging the protesting little ones up after them. The kidnappers, when they're introduced, it's the kids see them first, and Sally thinks that they're just kind of playing games, and she wants them to straighten up. They have an inspector coming to check out the school the next day. She needs to get the school cleaned and ready to go. And these kids are just like distracted by what's going on outside. So she's very direct with them. But there are four kidnappers. There's a Daffy Duck, a kitten, Father Christmas. I can't remember the fourth one. But they drop the kids off, and Sally off, and they leave them. They leave them to their own devices in this cave, and they escape. But in rural Australia, there's nowhere to go. So even though you escape, where are you supposed to go? They find the first homestead they can get to, and since it was the closest place, the kidnappers were very capable of finding them. Um, it the chapters are broken up by dates and times. So we end up going from May 9th and then jumping to July 21st. So May 9th is the end of their terror, and then it comes back around to July 21st in the classroom to discuss what was going on. Now, I did have a paragraph I wanted to read for you, but it is a spoiler. I want to show you the imagery that Ms. Lord puts into this, but it is a spoiler. So if you're not interested in spoilers, skip ahead. Otherwise, you've been warned. He screamed in horror and disbelief as two of Derek's stiff shafts, fire hardened and deadly, pierced his thigh and rib cage. He threw back his head and bellowed, then screamed in fresh pain as his body slipped further, the spear points tearing through flesh, forcing his body to contract together, his head to jerk down. The tip of Leanne Pierce's bladed spear drove through his right eyeball into his cortex. Sonny retched and died. The terror that these kids faced, the outcome, there's a nice little hidden detail that if you blink, you'll miss it in the very end of the book here. It was a great read and a great victory for the innocent in the end of all of this. I gave it a. I've been saying in this video a lot. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I did give it 4 stars on Goodreads. Highly encourage you to check it out. I know I've said that a bunch of times, but it is available on Amazon. I would love to be able to speak to Gabrielle Lord and just say, hey, you wrote a fantastic book. I can't wait to read more of your work. I've heard Whipping Boy is a fantastic novel as well, so I'm going to check that one out. Next up, we're going to be talking about William R. Perry's 2 short stories, By His Hand and Out of His Mind. They were fantastic reads. Stay tuned for more.
Do 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 do.